The two forms of Urshifu are about to drop in Pokemon Go, and we need to discuss which of these forms you need to go after because they are definitely quite different. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So, this is actually a pretty big week in Pokemon Go because we're finally going to be able to evolve our Kubfus through the special research storyline and pick up ourselves either a Rapid Strike Urshifu or Single Strike Urshifu. Now, there's a lot of discussions happening online regarding which of these Urshifus you should go after. I feel like it's not as clear-cut as a lot of people make it out to be. Both of these Urshifus are quite strong when it comes to PvP, but yes, there is a clear winner. But when it comes to raid battles, the story might seem actually very different. And that's precisely what I want to talk about. So I'm going to be looking at how they rank up in terms of PvP, and then I'm also going to be looking at raid battles to see how they fare against each other. Let's start off by talking about PvP. So I'm over here on pvpoke.com, which is bar none the best resource when it comes to PvP. And let's actually look at the rankings. So something I really need to clarify before we jump into this is that when it comes to Urshifu, it's not even possible to have one for the Great League. It's going to be too high of a CP, so you're not going to have one that is going to qualify, even if you get one at the lowest IVs. So that is something you do need to keep in mind. We're just going to completely cut out the Great League. But I think the same also applies to the Ultra League. Like if I were to look up Urshifu in the Ultra League, yeah, it's ranked extremely low. So you're not going to see this Pokemon within the Ultra League. There's going to be plenty of really good options that are going to be insanely powerful in the Ultra League compared to Urshifu, and I would honestly go with any of those. Like, if you look at the top Pokemon, I think Tinkaton is the one that is right now just destroying the Ultra League. Like, a lot of players are using Annihilate, so of course you have a really hard counter to that Pokemon in Tinkaton. And because of Tinkaton, I think you'll never see Urshifu actually be viable because Tinkaton is just a Pokemon that's just going to destroy Urshifu. You just do not want to use that Pokemon within the Ultra League. So that essentially leaves us with just one league, and that is going to be the Open Master League. And if we go into the Master League, immediately you see in the top 10, there's going to be one of the forms of Urshifu, and it is going to be Single Strike. So yeah, Single Strike Urshifu is going to be a top 10 Pokemon when it comes to the Master League, and that totally makes sense. If you look at the Pokemon that it counters, it's Pokemon that you commonly see, like Rhyperior, Dialga Origin Form, Necrozma Duskmane, Ho-Oh, Palkia. These are all extremely powerful Pokemon when it comes to the Master League, and it looks like Single Strike Urshifu is going to be your answer against these Pokemon. It has that dual fighting and dark typing, and then in terms of its moveset, it has access to Sucker Punch and Payback. It's just an all-around really powerful Pokemon for the Master League, and I think it's going to be a worthy investment. If you have yourself a high IV Kubfu, I do think that it is worth evolving it into Urshifu Single Strike, especially if you care mostly about PvP. But let's actually look for the other forms. So we know that at rank number 8, we have Urshifu Single Strike, and if we go all the way down, we're not even going to see the Rapid Strike Urshifu until rank, wow, it's really far down here. Yeah, rank 63. That's how far down Rapid Strike is. Now, the reason for that is because if you think about the typing, fighting and water, you would say, hey, this is like a beefed up version of Poliwrath. But it's not necessarily so, and it's mainly because of the moveset. So, Urshifu Rapid Strike has access to counter Waterfall, Rock Smash, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, Dynamic Punch, and Brick Break. And the ideal moves is going to be counter for the fast attack, and then Aqua Jet and Dynamic Punch for the charge moves. And I really do think that the moves is the whole story. If you do not have access to some really powerful moves, Urshifu is not going to be that relevant. The reason why Single Strike is going to be better than Rapid Strike when it comes to the Master League is specifically because of those dark type attacks. It's what makes this Pokemon so powerful. It has access to both Dynamic Punch and Payback, which are going to be really hard hitters, and then Sucker Punch is really good at generating energy as well as dealing some chip damage. So I do think that because of the pressure that you could deal with this Pokemon, it's going to be far superior compared to Rapid Strike. So for PvPers, the answer is quite obvious. You will want to go with Single Strike Urshifu as opposed to Rapid Strike Urshifu. But now let's move over to PvE content, specifically with raids. Now, just like PvPoke, or what is it, pvpoke.com for PvP, you have PokeBattler for PvE. PokeBattler is the tool that I use when it comes to creating the raid guides and just looking at what Pokemon I should be using with raids. This is a really solid resource, and I do think you need to use it if you're someone who loves to raid battle. So let's actually look at the raid attackers. We're gonna look at the top raid attackers, not necessarily by type, and we're actually gonna cut out the megas and the shadows because otherwise this list is going to be massive. So if we look at the top raid attackers who are not megas or shadows, we do not find either form of Urshifu anywhere near the top. In fact, you're gonna see a lot of the common Pokemon like the fusion forms of Kyurem and the fusion forms of Necrozma. You're gonna have the glass cannons like Rayquaza, Lucario, and Xurkitree. Of course, Zacian, Crown Sword is also going to make an appearance, but nowhere near the top you're going to find Urshifu. In fact, you're finally going to see Urshifu down here around rank 50, and it has a score of about 324, which I think is compounded by its stats as well as the damage it can deal. And yeah, it's a very low score at 324, but interestingly, you will see that the first Urshifu that we see is going to be Rapid Strike. So, counter to what we saw with PvP, it's actually Rapid Strike Urshifu, which is going to be ranked higher than Single Strike Urshifu when it comes to raid DPS. And in fact, Urshifu Single Strike is down here at rank 56, and it's going to have a score of 297 or 292, which is actually lower than Rapid Strike, which is at 324. So, why does this matter? Well, if you're someone who just simply does not care about PvP, I think the answer is going to be Rapid Strike. But I will give this caveat that both of these Pokemon are ranked quite low. And if you're going to be using Urshifu in raids, it's mainly going to be for fighting type raid damage. And if we look at fighting types, there's obviously some really good options that are going to be miles better than either form of Urshifu, namely Terrakion. Terrakion is a legendary Pokemon, which a lot of people will consider to be the absolute best fighting type in the game. And you can see right here, it has a compounded score of 1,285. It's almost 4 times as powerful as the highest DPS Urshifu, which is Rapid Strike. So yeah, that is something you need to consider, especially if you add in shadows and megas. Like if we look at the shadow Pokemon, there's some fighting types that are going to be a lot better than Urshifu. And then of course with Mega Evolutions, we have Mega Lucario, as well as a lot of these other Pokemon that are just going to be extremely powerful compared to Urshifu. So unfortunately, in terms of PvE content, I will say Urshifu is a bit of a bust, and that means you're really only going to be using that Pokemon for PvP. And we know what the clear winner is between the two when it comes to PvP. It's going to be Single Strike. So there you have it. It's going to be Single Strike Urshifu, which is the one you will want to go after. So if you're trying to decide which Urshifu you should get, I suggest you go with Single Strike. That's going to be the one that is going to be a lot more useful compared to Rapid Strike. Now, there is a possibility that in the future they could add different moves to Rapid Strike Urshifu to actually make it viable, but I do think it's going to be a really long time before that happens, if at all. So I do think Urshifu Single Strike is the one you should go for, especially if you're sitting on just one Kubfu. But if you're going to pay for the special research ticket, which is going to award you with a second Kubfu, then yeah, at that point, maybe you could go for both of them, and it's going to cost you a lot of raids, so I don't necessarily think it's that much worth it. But Yeah, $8 for 2 Kubfus, which means you could have both Urshifus, but since one of them is the clear winner, you could just settle on just one Kubfu and then get it to single strike Urshifu, and you're gonna be okay. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Which form of Urshifu are you going to go after? Do you think that single strike Urshifu is the clear choice, or do you have a case for Rapid Strike Urshifu? If you do, definitely share what it is in the comments down below, and yeah, let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it to be informative. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and also don't forget the notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the contents of the channel, if you want to support everything that I do, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. If you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon GO friends list. So that means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts, different things like that. And yeah, I guess eventually remote trading as well. Then make sure you go and check out my Patreon, because that's how you're going to end up on my friends list. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to catch up with my daily life. With all that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you all later.